Hi, everyone. Welcome to our X39 review and testimonials. Tonight, it's all about our children, and it's moms talking about their kids and talking about what it's like to have special need kids and how we help those kids and also help ourselves, as it can be kind of an interesting, trying world for moms with kids. And I'm talking moms with kids that have things like autism, Asperger's, ADHD, OCD, PTSD, and depression. These are real things that are happening to our children, especially our boys, girls too, but usually it's one in four is the ratio of more boys than girls. So I'm sorry, I got that wrong. It's about, on spectrum disorders, I believe it's about 1 in 50 now that are diagnosed, and I believe that it's more boys than girls. So I think it's 4 boys to 1 girl, something like that as ratios go. And so that's what we're going to talk about, because it's in my life, it's in Kathleen's life, and so that's definitely things we're going to talk about. And Dr. Dana and Dana Dixon, when they have a chance, they'll come on and talk a little bit about what's going on in their lives as well. As we know, it is our children and it's personal. And so some of us may want to share more than others. And I just hope that we'll just do our best. Okay. Having said that, Kathleen, I'd like to push it back to you. And you were going to talk a little bit about X39 and the stem cell activation patch as it relates to the brain mapping study and why it's so important for moms that are dealing with stuff that are going on in our children's brains. Kathleen?
Okay, thank you so much, Marcy, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to our call. And so, yeah, as we all know, X39, we're very familiar with the fact that our X39 stem cell activating patch helps the body heal on a physical level. I believe probably everybody on this call has had some form, if not huge miracles on the physical healing realm, because it just so supports the body to heal on that level. Well, what we might not be quite so aware of is that it actually is helping support our body to heal on the mental level and the emotional level. The brain mapping study that came out in mid-January of 2020, and it was really saying, wow, everybody, this brings also brain coherency, meaning it's going to affect PTSD symptoms, it's going to affect anxiety, depression, Asperger's syndrome, and just a whole myriad of emotional, mental challenges that adults and children have. So just really that study showed that it's bringing the brain back into balance, which we call brain coherency. So with that, Marcy's going to tell about her journey with Jacob.
Thank you, Kathleen. So my son today, Jacob, is 23, and at 2 years, 9 months, he was diagnosed with low functioning autism. Some of you may not know what autism is all about, but it's a spectrum disorder. And many people believe that the immune system got triggered. Some people think it was too much antibiotics, vaccines. Some people think it may be diet, genetics, they're born with it. We really don't know, but we do know that so many of our boys, our babies, our grandbabies are getting hit with this. And spectrum disorder goes somewhere between a low insult to the brain would be ADD, ADHD. Higher insult to the brain looks more like Asperger's, where the kids still have sensory issues, but they don't have, their cognitive skills are still pretty intact. And then autism is sensory skills aren't right, play skills aren't right, language isn't right, digestion isn't right. Like, it's pretty severe, where children with autism, they don't have receptive or expressive language. They don't know, like, when you call them to come, or they don't know how to talk. And there's lots of behaviors and tantrums because there's so much frustration. And there's many protocols we use as parents to deal with the autism spectrum disorder. And one of the programs I used for a decade was CARD, Center of Autistic Related Disorders, and we used an ABA program, Applied Behavioral Analysis, to help retrain the brain. And that's what we did. And we retrained the gut with gluten, casein-free diets and really strong antifungals and probiotics, because gut and brain go together. You got to heal them both. Well, we're doing all of this. And then at about age 13, Jacob gets his testosterone. And this happens a lot in our boys. We think everything's going well. Testosterone hits. And then all of a sudden they have mass OCD, anxiety. He said he had fire in his brain and he could not sleep at nights. And he did not go to school for 6 months because his brain hurt so much. He would spin over and over and over again. What happened to him is in shop class, he didn't do it, but he thought, this is crazy, right? He thought he cut a little boy's leg off with the saw. And all he did for 6 months is spin that over and over and over again. And it wouldn't stop. And so we kept working through that. We put him on some some serotonin reuptake inhibitors like Prozac. He had to do clozapam for a little while to stop the fire. These are very aggressive drugs, but we're just doing our best to get his brain right. Well, now he's 23 and we're working through it all, but he still gets these attacks, these OCD attacks, this PTSD. Sometimes he'll cry in the bed to me and say, Mom, my brain's on fire. And when those things started to happen, we added that X39 to our protocol. We put it right on his chest, and I'll explain more how this works in a little while, but we put one on his chest at night. We also, and this stem cell is regeneration and repair. We are repairing the pathways to his brain. We also put one E on, which stops inflammation in the brain. And we also added Nirvana. And Nirvana actually increases that dopamine in his brain. And lastly, when he's having sleep issues, we added Silent Night, because Silent Night elevates melatonin, which helps him sleep. And so for Jacob, he's either a 3-patch system, and let's face it, he's 23. He's not going to know where to put all these darn patches. Not going to ever happen. I say just put the 3 on your chest and go to bed. And when you wake up, you take them off. And that's what he does. And when he has trouble sleeping, the 4th patch he adds is Silent Night. And I am telling you, he asks every night for these patches now, because he says, Mom, I fall asleep and I wake up and I don't have that anxiety and the OCD attack. I just feel better. And any kid on the autism spectrum disorder side of things, what's hard for them is to remember to do things. You have to physically and verbally prompt them on everything. So that he actually remembers to come to me to get patched at night means that it makes a huge difference on the way he's feeling. And, you know, we've been adjusting his Prozac. He does anywhere from 2 to 3 a day to help with OCD. He's trying to get himself down to 2 a day because the side effect of Prozac in some people is erectile dysfunction. And my kid's only 23, and that's really hard on him. It's hard for his self-esteem. And I'm just talking about these real issues because it's real and hard, right? Who wants that for your kid, right? So we are trying to figure out how to make it all work for his brain and his body, right? And then also the clozapam, if you guys know anything about it, is highly addictive. And so now a couple weeks. And so we're just really excited that we're doing some things that are really helping my kid, like make it in the real world as a man at 23. So with that, Kathleen, I would love to know what's going on with your daughter. I know she's not autism spectrum. I would say more that she had situational depression, but still it's our kids and its brain and it's scary stuff, right?
Yes, thank you, Marcy. I can never get enough of that story with Jacob and just all the different developments that you guys are just so supporting him with. So yes, the X39. So we've been on the X39 a week shy of a year. And so that would have been last November. So before that, my daughter, she was, you know, Sienna Lene, she's now 15, she was 14 then. She was a shining star. She, you know, star athlete, straight A student, star dancer, star singer, life of the party, doing fantastic. Well, a year ago, May, so basically, you know, 6 months prior to us learning about the patches, she had a horrible trauma. And then right after that, one of her best friends died. So we were looking at 2 huge traumas with my little 14-year-old girl. And what happened was she went into complete and total despair. So that means that she hated the world, she hated me, and she hated herself. And she literally was getting D's and F's in school. She was withdrawing from society. Her brain was not working right. She was having fantasy thoughts about all kinds of really illogical things that were causing serious problems in our house. She became really, really dark, and all the way down to contemplating suicide. So I had ordered the patches. My best friend from Alaska had turned me on to them, not at all realizing that there was going to be this mental and emotional benefit. I was ordering them for myself, right? And so we got them, and it's such an amazing miracle because it was a Tuesday night that she really had hit rock bottom and was considering exiting the planet. And I received the patches the next morning. And so of course I put it on her because I'm just like, you know, that's what I do. Never dawned on me, oh my gosh. The first week, not much, you know, maybe a smile here and there. The second week, clean clothes, a shower, wow. By 3.5 weeks, we were playing ping pong, and there was my daughter laughing and singing and dancing just as big as life could be. I literally broke out crying, and I grabbed her hands and I said, see, Anna. And she said, Mama, you have no idea how different I feel. I feel so different in my body. So she had been diagnosed with PTSD, and then obviously was having anxiety and depression. And as Marcy said, she's not on the spectrum at all. However, the 2 traumas had completely changed her neurology, her behavior, her psychology, her personality, across the board. My daughter was gone, and we were scared as Dickens on how to support this young budding being in my life. It was really scary times. So, you know, so the patch went in and supported her body to right away, the PTSD minimized, which, you know, really minimized the anxiety and the depression. So like I said, that was a year ago. And so that was November, a year ago. That semester, she already brought all her D's and F's up to A's. She started dancing again, singing again, doing sports, all the really fun stuff. So the other thing that we were supplementing with, because of one of the symptoms of PTSD is you can't sleep. So she wasn't able to sleep because all of the nightmares of the trauma plagued her at night. And so I supplement with Silent Night, and she sleeps fantastic, and she wears the patch every day, and she asks for it every day. And I'm telling you, she's turned 15 in September. And so we, you know, as you guys all know, there's massive tension going on with COVID and lockdown and all this stuff. And I'm telling you, my daughter during that whole time, she doesn't even have the regular issues of teenagers anymore. Like, she doesn't even have like the attitude or the, yeah, right, Ma, you can take it and do whatever, right? She doesn't have any of that going on. It's just amazing how much this patch has helped her whole system realign and come into coherency and really given my daughter back on such an amazing level. So it's just for moms, it's just such a heartwarming situation. So once again, X39.
You know, Kathleen, thank you for sharing your story. I mean, what's crazy is that our kids were dealing with 2 totally different things, and X39, because of the brain mapping, because it goes in there and it resets the brain, and it takes about 6 weeks for a reset. You know, their brains are red to begin with. This is what the study says. And you can look at this study at startx39.com under the research. You can just click the link for the brain mapping study. But it basically says that when kids are having what our kids are having, their brains are hot, they're red. And then the stem cell activation patch comes in and it starts turning into these pluripotent stem cells that turn into the cells that brain needs to repair. And that red brain after 2 weeks goes blue, actually. It shows it in the mapping study. Well, that's too cold. That's cool. It's not red, but it's still not perfect, right? And then another couple weeks, after the 6 weeks mark, it is a perfect combination of red and blue. And so it goes from red to blue to just the perfect mix of cool and hot. And that's what you want. And it takes about 6 weeks. And what we're finding with our children is that the behaviors are matching the study. And so that's pretty cool. So having said that, Dana, I'm going to unmute you, or ask you to unmute. And Dana, Dr. Dana Zappala, she is a chiropractor for 20 years. She's working full-time in LA, and I know she's been super busy, so that she's able to come on right now is awesome. Dana, are you there? Can you unmute yourself or take your video off? Are you there?
Yeah. I'm actually going to use Dana Dixon's phone because the reception is better. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can. It's great. And I know that you're and you can explain or talk about as much as you want, but basically she's a doctor. She's working 50 hours a week in a clinic now in LA. She is a single mother of 2 boys, and she has a lot going on with herself and those boys. And sometimes that leads to, I believe, she can talk a little bit about, what it's like to sometimes be depressed and dealing with I know how much stuff is going on in your life, and maybe you could just talk a little bit about that. That's probably, I don't know if you would consider that situational or just a general, what happened, your husband, what happened to him. Like, there's a lot of stuff in your life, and how the X39 and particularly the Nirvana has helped you.
So much, Marcy, for having me on tonight, and
a little hard to hear, Dana. You're going in and out a bit. I don't know if you can get it better, but she said, let's see if we can try one more time. She wants to talk about depression. Can we hear
we're going to discuss depression. And,
that's great.
I think with everything that's been going on for the past almost a year, not only do our kids suffer from feeling down and a little depressed, so do the adults. And I'm seeing it in my practice, and I've noticed it with myself even, some days, I love to be positive, and I love to have a good time, and I love to feel happy. And the reality is right now, sometimes you just don't feel it. And, raising children and teenagers and young adults, as we all are doing and experiencing with all of our trials and tribulations, because everybody has a story, and our stories just differ. Everyone gets a package or a backpack, and it's how you deal with it. And not to go into big details tonight, I really want to get the point across about how uplifting the Nirvana is. And I've felt down on some days and not happy. And I'm like, oh my God, am I going to feel like this for the rest of my life? What's going on? And honest to God, I put on that little Nirvana patch, and within maybe half an hour, you feel an uplift, and it's incredible. It's just that little boost that a person needs or a teenager needs, because it stimulates and gets those endorphins running and stimulating. And this is something that we do really need to share with everyone because of what everyone's going through right now, having the COVID-19 and all the lockdowns for the past almost year, and we don't know what the future holds for everyone. And mental health is so important right now because our young teenagers, kids, adults included, need to keep it together, and this is an avenue. And I think it's really important that we get the word out and we share it. And it helps in so many different areas. And that's really what I wanted to kind of get my point across to tonight, is that everyone knows that this really, and I've tested it a lot. And I will say, like, it took me a while to really give a solid testimonial. And I can 100% give a solid testimonial that this is changing people's lives. And it's very important.
Thank you, Dana. And, you know, Dana has been with Lifeway with us. I shared, Peter and I shared it with her a year ago, and she takes the X39 every day, which of course activates your stem cells, makes more stem cells, and resets it to a younger, healthier state. But with some of the situation, depression that's been happening in her life, she told me the other day, Marcy, I added Nirvana, and it really does elevate that dopamine and that neurotransmitter and those endorphins. And it is a nice extra boost to X39. And, you know, we have a promotion this week, and it ends on, I believe, Friday, which you can get, if you buy 2 X39s, you can get free Nirvana system. And so I just wanted people to know, like, if you want to try Nirvana, this would be the week to do it, because you can either sign up a preferred customer, sign up a retail customer, be your own preferred customer, or share it with someone who might want to add X39 with the Nirvana system. And Dana, I would love for Dana Dixon, for you to share a little bit about what you're thinking about X39 and Nirvana, and also understanding, share whatever you're comfortable with, okay?
Hi, everyone. Well, I have a Nirvana on right now, and I'm loving it. I will say I'm new to the Nirvana, so I'm excited to give you the test, or come back with you with my testimony on it. So I can already feel really like relieved and stress-free. I will say that. I've been on the X39 since March, and what it did for me is it took away a lot. Well, first of all, let me back up. I went through an emotional detox from it. There's some of us that go through an emotional detox, and I was one of the lucky ones. And for about 2 weeks, all this stuff came up, and I wasn't sure if it was COVID or what, but whatever it was, it didn't happen until I was on the X39. And all of a sudden, all this emotion and everything came out, and Dr. Dana told me, you're having an emotional detox. You're going to be like, you're euphoric in a few weeks. And sure enough, I've been happy and stress-free ever since. Even all that's going on, I fly about 120 hours a month, and I have 2 sons. And by the way, one of my son has OCD, and we're starting him on the X39 and Nirvana. So I will get back to you in a few months on that. But so it's going to be a pretty good thing, I think. Yeah.
I got chills, because it was when I saw the Nirvana sale, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're putting that on sale for us all. I'm like, yeah, I really like it for myself and my kid. And Dana's like, you're not going to believe it, I want it for mine. And Kathleen said the same thing, like, because we all have stuff going on as moms with kids that have stuff going on. Let's just be honest. And then we have stuff going on because of it. And all of us wanted to share more about that than others tonight. And that's what that is. But I will tell you this, Dana Dixon on the X39 had the 6 weeks brain mapping. She's an example of her brain going from hot to cold to working perfectly to 6 weeks later being in, what did you say? Did you say what did you say?
Euphoria.
Euphoria. I knew there was a word, but I just couldn't remember what it was. Euphoria. And so she really did go through the emotional detox, which is you feel really good and then you cry a lot, and you feel really good and you cry a lot, and then you go at about 6 weeks into euphoria. And that really is what the study says. So let me tell you a little bit about X39. It looks like a Band-Aid, but it's so much more. It's made out of organic crystal, and that organic crystal has amino acids, salt, and water on it. And you wear it 12 hours on. You can put it right below the back of your neck, and you wear it 12 hours on to activate, and then you throw it away and you let your body repair for 12 hours, and then you put another one on. You can wear more than one, and any spot will do. You just have to remember to take it on and off every 12 hours, because This is light therapy. And like light, you need to turn it on and off, on and off. If you wear it 24 hours a day, your body gets used to it and it will not elevate the proteins in the body that is supposed to be elevating. So what protein does this elevate? Well, when you put it on the heat of your skin, it activates these organic crystals and it sends back a light wave. And this is actually a long light wave that elevates GHK copper peptide, much like if you were going out in the sun and you had the ultraviolet light of the sun elevating vitamin D in your body. It's the same concept. It's light. So when this patch elevates this GHK copper peptides, it actually activates, are you ready for this? Your own stem cells, makes more stem cells, and resets them to a younger, healthier state. Our owner, inventor, CEO, basically says when you put young stem cells on old tissue, you turn the tissue young again. And at age 30, we've lost half of our stem cells. And at age 60, we've lost almost all of them. And so when you reactivate your army, you're reactivating those pluripotent stem cells to turn into whatever cell your body needs for repair. Well, you say, well, Jacob's 23, his stem cells may be still working. I believe for my kids, kids that have needs, kids that are on the spectrum, his stuff doesn't work as well as most children. Like it's been, what's the word I want to say? It's already had issues, you know, like it's something's happened to his body. It's disintegrated a bit versus a typical child, right? There's been something that hasn't worked right in his body, right? And so I think of it this way: if at 30 he would lose 50%, he probably at 23 has already lost 50% of his activity, right? So I'm just getting him working better because he's already had issues with the way his body works, if that makes sense, or the way his brain works. And so that's how the stem cells work. His pluripotent stem cells are then going to start marching into the brain and repair his brain. And then you put a little Eon on top of that, and Eon elevates anti-inflammatory. So now you stop the brain inflammation. He puts the Nirvana on top of that, and now he's just elevated dopamine. And lastly, when he needs to sleep, he's going to put Silent Night on and he's going to elevate melatonin. And these are all your own natural body stuff. The patch, the light therapy, just elevates the right stuff in your body to start working again. So it's pretty darn exciting. And I'm so happy that we found the X39 stem cell activation patches. And by the way, these activate your own stem cells. They're not somebody else's DNA. They're not an injection of somebody else's DNA. And they cost less than a cup of coffee a day. Like, where else can you get non-invasive stem cell activation? Where else can you actually get light activation therapy that's non-invasive for our children? I mean, I'm excited. Pretty soon, we're not going to have to be on all those medications. I'm pretty excited that we don't have to do all the supplements either. Like, we just activate with light. So with that, Kathleen, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about the company and then how they can get these beautiful patches?
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marcy, and everyone that shared their stories tonight. So LifeWave is a 15-year-old company. And what that means is that we have a brand new product that came out on the market, the X39, that came out about 1.5 years ago. So with the Solid Stable company, which we distribute to 100 countries, we have 80 clinical studies, and then we're merging it with a brand new product that's, you know, non-invasive, non-transdermal, and the only type of product in the stem cell industry like this that you can get. So it's really an amazing opportunity to help your family, help your loved ones, help your friends, really get the benefits of the healing of X39. So the way you can get this is you can get with the person that invited you to the call. We have several different ways. There's a retail, which is $150. And then we also have a preferred customer, which is wholesale at $99. And we have a program there that you get sampling also. So that's really nice. And then what you can go get a kit. So there's 5 different kits. The kits that we really like, and the one that I came on with, is a silver. And that's a 3-month supply. And that allows you to get it for wholesale price at $99. The reason we like the 3 months is because it really moves in at that deep cellular healing at 3 months. Tonight, we've been talking about the different levels of healing and the brain mapping. It is a 6 weeks for that. So my daughter made the shift at 3.5, and then she made another shift at 6 weeks for that coherency. But the other healing, the cellular healing, really occurs at that 3 months. And so that's the kit that we like, is this silver one. Or you could go up to a diamond, which is what I did after the silver, and that's $15.99. And that brings your price point down to $84. And that's when you really see the vision of like, oh my goodness, I want to share this patch with everybody I know, love, and don't know, all my future friends, right? So with that, you can get on startx39.com for some more information. And that's got some testimonials and some science and just a really great website. And other than that, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Get with the person who invited you and start having your body be supported to heal on all levels. So thank you so much.
The statements on this video, website, or associated materials has not been evaluated by any regulatory authority and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition. The content provided by LifeWave is presented in summary form. In general, is general in nature and is provided for informational purposes only. Do not disregard any medical advice you have received or delay in seeking it because of something you have read on our website or heard on a video or associated materials. Please consult your own physician or appropriate healthcare provider about the applicability of any options, of any opinions or recommendations with respect to your own symptoms or medical conditions, as these diseases commonly present with variable signs and symptoms. Always consult with your physician or other qualified healthcare provider before embarking on a new treatment, diet, or fitness program. We assume no liability or responsibility for damage or injury to person or property arising from any use of any product, information, idea, or instructions contained in the materials provided to you. LifeWave and I reserve the right to change or discontinue at any time any aspect or feature containing our information.